Let's talk about the hook, book, cook, query letter formula. First of all, this is just a standard formula for writing query letters. It starts with the hook. Now, the hook is the opening sentence or two that grabs the query letter reader's attention. So this is usually a literary agent, could be a reader, it could be a publisher, but it grabs their attention and makes them want to keep reading. And there's different kind of hooks, and we'll look at an example of one in just a moment. The main thing to know about a query letter hook is that it can be anything that is the strength or selling point of your query letter. So it can be your credentials, it can be your story, it can be your connections or recommendation from a famous author or somebody in the publishing industry. It's whatever is the greatest selling point for your query letter for this story. Next, there's the book. Now, the book section is simply a brief summary of your manuscript that highlights its unique selling points. Now, for the book, you might hear this called the story summary. It usually focuses on the character, the conflict, and the consequences of the actions of the characters in the story. So it's just a way to describe concisely and succinctly your entire story. Now, don't give away the ending. Focus on what happens in the first 50 pages of your manuscript. That's probably where there's the inciting action of the story, and it introduces the characters, the setting, and the main conflict. You want to think of this book section as the movie trailer for your novel or story. Just the highlights is what you want to put in this section. Finally, we have the cook section. Now, the cook section is where you talk about yourself, the cook or the chef. It's a brief bio, very brief, where you talk about yourself and your writing credentials. The most important thing to know about this section is that it's optional. If you have professional credentials and experience, for sure list them briefly. But if you don't exaggerate, don't make them up, don't talk about a short story you wrote for your English teacher or how your mom or your aunt loves your writing. Just skip this part entirely if you don't have professional credentials. But if you do have any kinds of professional affiliations, a membership in a local, regional, or national writing organization that has to do with the genre of the book that you're submitting to the agent, mention that. But mostly just focus on professional credentials. And if you don't have any, just skip this part. You can get some of these credentials by volunteering or writing for pay or free in certain online magazines. Certainly try to work on your professional credentials, but it's not a deal breaker if you don't have any. Let's look at a hook, book, and cook query letter formula put into action, an actual query letter that is completely made up. This query letter is by a made up author. It's a made up title, but it sounds pretty cool. So take a moment to read this and look for the hook, book, and cook.